Two. Hello, hello. This is Launch Coast Football. That's Chelsea. I'm Daniel. I've been holding this since Thursday night. Okay. I remember when Joe Flacco got drafted because I was in a barber shop in Connecticut. I haven't lived in Connecticut since the first year of Obama's first term. The fact that it's been almost 20 years to this point, and this man is, and you don't know how to guard this man, you don't know how to defend this man, you just let him just destroy your fraudulent of a defense. And I'm going to say it now, the Steelers defense has one skill. If they and they've had one skill for probably the past 5, 6 years. If they can rush the passer, they're golden. They're golden like the tail tower, black and gold. If they can't rush the passer, my goodness, you better start whoever quarterback you have in fantasy, whatever receiver you have in fantasy, whatever running back you have in fantasy, because they're about to get cooked like a 5-star chef. The fact that, and as I'm talking about now, hey, look, Jamar Chase just caught another pass, the same stupid route for another 10 to 12 yards. He's already, him and Jefferson's are already the best receivers in football. He looked like Jerry Rice out there. It looked like it was Jerry Rice on one side and let's say Randy Moss or Chris Carter on the other side. It was a masterclass. And don't get me started on the fact that even with Joe Flacco carving you up like it's Thanksgiving Day, with two All-Star receivers, All-Pro receivers looking like Hall of Fame receivers, you had a running back, a Bengals running game that can't do much of anything this entire year. It looked like superstars back there. I remember I looked at it like he was getting these holes were the size of the Grand Canyon. Just constant. Chase Brown looked like he looked like better than Jonathan Taylor, CMC, name a running back in the NFL. And Chase Brown, if Chase Brown had to play Pittsburgh every game, he would he would break Eric Dickerson's rushing record. And Edwin before the season said one thing: Is Pittsburgh gonna be good for Aaron Rodgers? Is Pittsburgh gonna be good for Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, he's past his prime. Aaron Rodgers, oh, it's old Aaron Rodgers. You know what? No one in Pittsburgh should have been saying that because how did the season end for Pittsburgh last year with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry single-handedly tearing out the Pittsburgh squad and showing them like it's Mortal Kombat? I watched an entire playoff game, and my brother-in-law is a Ravens fan, and he's a man of God because he just let me sit back and just suffer in silence. I appreciate that. That's why I haven't been trashing about the Ravens being bad this year because he was nice to me before. It's ridiculous. In week one, Justin Fields looked like a superstar against them. Justin Fields doesn't look like a super haven't looked like a superstar since Ohio State. And he looked like a superstar against Pittsburgh in week one. And of course, who won the game? Rodgers and Boswell and the mainly Jalen Ramsey. Week two, well, the Pittsburgh has looked good in 1 week defensively. They've looked elite in 1 week defensively. Don't give me the New England game. Don't give me the New England game. I don't care you had the 5 turnovers because you barely won that game when you had +5 in turnovers. That's ridiculous. You should have won that game by like 2 touchdowns. But whatever. We're not even going to talk about that because we're talking about the fact that you've only looked good against Dylan Gabriel, a rookie in his second start. That's the only time the Steelers defense looked like a truly elite defense. This is ridiculous at this point. Like Rodgers is playing like 2, 3, 4 years ago. Rodgers is actually playing pretty good. The receiving corps looks really good. The running backs they look fairly decent. It's the defense. It's just the defense. And the defense, again, it's one thing. It's one thing. If they can rush the passer, they're golden. If they can't rush the passer, they can't do anything. And how the heck are you going to go against Kansas City? How the heck are you going to go against Buffalo? Now we got the Colts coming out of nowhere, which is ridiculous. Oh yeah, I had Daniel Jones being a superstar this year. That was on my bingo chart. Bingo chart, whatever. And who knows if Joe Burrow comes back late in the season? Because apparently, you put Joe Flacco on a team with two elite receivers. Now this team's going to be a potential playoff team. And come December, if Burrow comes back, oh boy, he's going to like. If Joe Flacco can do that to Pittsburgh, Joe Burrow will look like Hercules or Achilles against Pittsburgh. So yeah, this has been a very interesting week for Steelers football. They're now about to play the Packers, which hopefully Aaron Rodgers gets a little bit of that old Packer magic, but he's not going to do that. If Broderick Jones decides to tackle him running to a sideline, Broderick Jones, you are a borderline bust. The fact is, you've let defensive linemen sack Aaron Rodgers multiple times. Why are you now sacking Aaron Rodgers? If you do that one more, I think I would. Mike Thomas should walked over him, just looked at him and said, "You know, you're not playing for this team anymore, right?" So, So Chelsea, how's your week?
That was awesome. Not that I want you to do that every week because then you would just be in pain all the time. But that was awesome.
This
Yeah. Yeah, my week was good. Thanks for asking. We won.
good for
Yeah,
you.
dude, that whew, that was rough, dude.
I was
Let me ask you one question. As an unbiased football fan, an AFC fan, I think I can solve your problem with two words. Actually, three words. Fire Arthur Smith.
I can't even say because the offenses look decent. It's not like the offenses look that bad this year. I
Isn't he your defensive coordinator?
no actually yeah. Why did I say fire Austin? No, Austin Smith is the O coordinator.
Oh,
Yeah.
LOL. I must have been thinking of someone else.
No, it's
So let me amend my statement to three words. Fire Mike Tomlin.
I
Oh, okay. I know what you're gonna say.
no
Diehard
I
Steelers
no
fan. Everyone loves Mike
I understand.
Tomlin,
I
but
understand it.
but
And
he is the only common denominator left.
I get
The
that.
only one.
And
That's all I'll say.
there's been times I fired Mike Tomlin in my head.
That's all.
Admittedly,
I'm just from an unbiased perspective, as someone who honestly really doesn't like the Steelers all that much.
so you're unbiased.
He is, well, he is the only common denominator. Mike Tomlin, don't get me wrong, Mike Tomlin is a great coach. He is. He gets his team to the playoffs every year. He hasn't had a losing record and I don't even know how long. I
Never.
couldn't
He's
even
never
tell
had
you.
no, I
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
he took over for what's his face when he left. He's
Tower.
been great. He's been great. But there are different monicums of measurement of success, right? You put Mike Tomlin on the Panthers are going to love him because he's going to get them to the playoffs, right? Panthers haven't been in the playoffs, since they lost the Super Bowl, right? It's been terrible. But you're the Steelers. You're a you know, backbone NFL founding franchise, historically amazing, Hall of Famers everywhere, great defenses in the past, Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, all the people, okay? So he's great. But like, as a Steelers fan, you have to be a little bit tired of the fact that he gets you to the playoffs and then you go nowhere. Like, if it's the Panthers, they're happy because they never make it, right? But the Steelers are one of those franchises, they're the backbone of the league. You know what I mean? They're one of the cornerstone teams. Eventually, getting to the playoffs has to not be good enough for you. You need to get farther than that. And at the end of the day, his entire resume of success, what it's telling me, at least, outside of a couple of years, obviously, where, they won the Super Bowl, etc., that's kind of all he does. Not saying he's a bad coach, not saying I wouldn't take him as my coach. I am simply stating that you guys never go anywhere and you're talented enough to do so, and you don't.
It's,
So that begs the question, is it Tomlin's fault? Because you fired everyone else, you've
yeah.
replaced everyone else. He's the only one left. At least from the coaching perspective. I don't know about the front office and things of that nature.
No,
But
no, I
like,
get that. It's
I just, it is an interesting question. So I'm saying,
he is a I think he's probably the best floor raiser as a coach, but
I'll agree.
there's always going to be a ceiling with him. He's won a Super Bowl, but admittedly, he won a Super Bowl with Bill Cowher's players. Like when he had his turn to like in terms of creating the roster, that's when you got the Killer Bees era,
Right.
which made no sense to me. You were a defensive minded head coach, and your defenses were normally terrible. Admittedly, part of that was because Ryan Shazier had the neck injury to end his career, but
That was
like
terrible, by the way.
it was awful. But even before, but still, that with Shazier, you were about an average to slightly above average defense. You weren't like an elite defense. Um, I wouldn't. I didn't. I know there's a lot of people in Pittsburgh who like love Tomlin. I will still love Tomlin, but I like there's been times I've fired him in my head over the years.
I get that. I fire
Um,
coaches in my head all the time.
the best coach I say if you get rid of Tomlin, if you actually eventually pull the trigger on Tomlin, which is not going to happen. Like the Rooney family, for some they don't like firing coaches. They've never fired coaches. They just let them resign or they don't renew the contract and stuff. So I don't think they fired Tomlin. But there's like when you look at someone like a Brian Flores. and see what he did in Miami during his time, and now he's like a great defensive coordinator with the Vikings. Or honestly, during the offseason, I was looking at it sounds terrible. I was looking at Aaron Glenn, but Aaron Glenn's having trouble in New York right now.
Well, I think that's its own mess of
But
problems. I think Aaron Glenn is still a good
yeah,
coach.
that's just the Jets. That's the Jets. I think Glenn just has to build that organization from the ground up, like kind of like what Dan Campbell did with Detroit when Dan Campbell first got there. Detroit was
Yeah.
terrible, but
No,
like
I mean, it's a good
Tomlin is
point.
just Tomlin. I'm one of those guys like I don't want to get rid of a coach or a player unless I know I'm either getting someone just as good, if not better in return, or someone young and like can potentially build up. But it's getting to a point between Tomlin and Harbaugh in Baltimore. You gotta show me something more at this point,
I
and
mean, I
it's
understand the
terrible.
argument of, well, I'll fire Tomlin if I can get someone equal or better. Like I get that. That's an entirely fair argument. But sometimes you just need new blood and you need new ideas and you need a new philosophy. Like imagine if you had Dan Campbell coaching this team.
That'd be
You
awesome.
guys would probably be undefeated.
I swear, Bill Belichick becomes the Steelers' new head coach.
That
I
would
don't.
be
I,
no.
that'll
No.
just that'll just.
That would be awful.
I'm not sure if
That
I'll.
would be like a crime against football.
That'd be. I'll cry laughing and then just cry crying. But
Okay, maybe Dan
yeah,
Campbell wouldn't have you guys undefeated, but you get the point. Like, Dan Campbell
yeah.
was a good assistant. He was a good player, but when the coaching cycle started up, his name was out there. He wasn't, one of the top guys, but the Lions took a chance on him, and look what he did. He literally revitalized an entire city. That's what Pittsburgh needs. Pittsburgh needs someone young to moderate aged who can revitalize Pittsburgh. And that's not to say Tomlin is not a great coach. Honestly, they could pull something like the Seahawks did with Pete Carroll for a bit. Move Tomlin to the front office, give him a front office role, let him work with the GM, player development, things like that. But as for coaching, they just need something different. I mean, look what Ben Johnson is doing with the Bears. The
I
Bears are like the Jets of the NFC. Their franchise was completely broken. They're 4-2, and they're not even playing at their best potential. Imagine if you had someone like that. I mean, even look at someone like Shane Steichen, who honestly, after last year, I wanted fired because he was making bad decisions all over the field. Bro gets a quarterback. Look what happens. Oh, he's the most innovative play caller in the NFL. Oh, wow, he's in the running for coach of the year. I wanted Bro fired last year. I'm not even going to lie. Like, you need someone who can come in, who has a big personality, who's not afraid of the media, who's tough, who can revitalize the city. Because I think everyone's just gotten so used to Tomlin's just nature and his pace and things of
yeah.
that. You guys, I honestly think you're reaching the point where the argument to get rid of him is stronger than the one to keep him because you have gotten rid of everyone else. He is the only thing remaining.
The Steelers might need a new coach, but I definitely need a throat launcher and probably a stiff drink. But anyway, going to an AFC North team that can play good defense, we gotta talk about the Cleveland Browns and their massacre of the Miami Dolphins. Chelsea, why is the Dolphins coach still not fired yet?
That's a great question. Maybe it's because he is so stylish on the sideline with his capris and his sweatshirts. I honestly don't know. I really liked McDaniel at first when he got hired, to be completely honest with you. I thought he was hip and had cool ideas, and he was young and impressionable. I would say that's faded now if you're a Miami fan.
Yeah,
The fact that you got blown out by the Dolphins, by the Browns, who are terrible, who are paying what, six quarterbacks, three of whom aren't even on their team anymore. Um, my caption for this game is, "Wow, the Browns had a modicum of success." That's how I feel about this week. This honestly could be their Super Bowl.
I'll say this.
I mean, there's really not. Mike McDaniel's got to go. I mean, Tua was horrible. Tua had negative points in fantasy. I know fantasy is not like the end all be all for quarterbacks, but
It is on this
negative, dude.
podcast.
Negative, bro. What? And honestly, he's had so many concussions. It's probably for his best interest if he retires before he gets another one because that dude's been through it. Jalen Waddle is on the trade block, allegedly. So are some of their pass rushers like Jalen Phillips. Yeah, the Dolphins they look bad. They need the same thing that the Steelers do, except they also need a brand new team. You know what I mean? Like the Steelers, they have a team. The Dolphins, they like need a quarterback. They have a running back. But,
Yeah.
outside of that, they need a quarterback to come in and revitalize them. Like imagine if they went and got Francisco Mendoza from Indiana, who's in the MVP race, at least in college right now, and is now getting uh Mendoza MVP chance. Fernando
Ju-
Men MVP Doza is what's happening.
ju-
Apparently, he's has a chance to go first overall, which is crazy. But they need a quarterback and a coach, and probably a new front office and a defense. So you guys are in a better place than the Dolphins.
I love, First of all, I love the fact you slipped in that little Indiana thing. Like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I'm going to give my Hoosiers some love. Um,
Two in the country. You know how old I was when this happened? Never. We're normally horrible. We're poverty. I can't feel like I'm living in a fever dream.
but yeah, at least I can't even evaluate Dylan Gabriel because he just basically existed and didn't puke on himself. Jenkins looked amazing as a running back for Cleveland. Cleveland might have a good, they might have like a great rookie running backs. That's good.
Yeah.
The defense is always going to be elite. The defense and yeah, Tua after a week after you trash your team, then no one's not showing up to play at the only meeting. Forced to apologize. Everyone's running like damage control. And you go out there and that it didn't look like he belonged on the football field. It was so humiliating. I'm like, I know the Browns defense is good, but look competent, dude. You're throwing to the ball. It's like the Browns were the receivers at a certain point. They had to take him out and put
Yeah.
in Quinn Ewers just enough. I don't even
Who
think
then got cold shouldered by Mike McDaniel. I don't know if you saw that clip.
oh no, I saw that and it was like just like you was like, I don't care what you think, you'll be gone like 2 months.
Or 2 days at this rate.
Now
No, I mean
they're gonna keep
if
him
you're
on.
gonna credit the Browns for doing one thing well, they are phenomenal at drafting running backs. They drafted Nick Chubb and they drafted Judkins, and Judkins looks amazing.
So yeah, the Browns look like they I feel like we say this for like the past 5 years. The Browns, ever since they got rid of Baker Mayfield, they're just a quarterback away. They had a quarterback, but they got rid of him.
I don't know if I buy that. They don't have very
I,
many good receivers, but they have good tight ends.
I think as long as you have an elite defense to that level and a solid run game, because like they beat the Packers earlier this year, and they just beat
Yeah.
and they blew out this team. I don't think the AFC is really at
I would
least
say
the
they're a
North is that special.
quarterback and a wide receiver one away because
Okay,
Jerry Judy is their one right now, and he puts up like 2 points a week in fantasy. So
well again, fancy football, most important thing.
just Jerry Judy's not a one. I mean, they need to go out. They need like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or something. You put him and a quarterback on that team who's confident. Yeah, I think they can make a run for it for sure. But they just don't have the pieces in place, at least not in the
Oh,
premier positions outside of
oh.
pass rush, of course.
Or if you can't get a quarterback, you always look at one quarterback in terms of good old Matt Stafford, which I don't know why he'll ever leave for Cleveland, but just saying, but that's a good transition to talk about the
We'll pay you
Ram.
$1 billion, Matthew.
It'll be a Kawhi Leonard situation. Like we'll give you like $1 billion and like a tree
It
charity
will
or
all
something.
be deferred though. You'll get 600 million of it in 22 years.
But Stafford just lit without Puka Nacua, which is crazy. Without your arguably the best receiver in football, absolutely lit up the Jacksonville Jaguars, and to the point that after that game, I was thinking, was I wrong about Jacksonville? Is Jacksonville actually like a really good team, or is Jacksonville just like there? Because they lost last week pretty handily to Seattle. They got massacred by Stafford this week. It's how much like you're the AFC South expert with your Colts, and so you know more about that conference than I do. What's his thoughts about in terms of Jacksonville? What would you rank them in terms of great team, good team, average team, fraudulent team? Where do you rank them in terms in your own division?
I mean, I would say that the most disappointing part of this game was probably their defense because their defense has actually been really good this year. And that should just tell you how good the Rams offense is. And they didn't even have Nakua and they dropped 30 plus on this defense. Um, I don't know. I feel like Jacksonville and Houston are both having years they weren't expecting in regards to not being as good as they thought they would be. I think they're both better than Tennessee, but that's not really saying much. Um, I don't know. I mean, Brian Thomas has been disappointing this year. He's
Oh
had some
man.
drop issues, which is really surprising if you know anything about how he played in college and things of that nature. I will credit Liam Cohen. They finally figured out that ETN is actually their running back one instead of Tootin or whoever. I don't know why they ever stripped the previous regime stripped or running back one responsibilities away from ETN. ETN is very clearly a one. Trevor is above average, but he's not spectacular. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd say over the course of this year, they've probably played better than Houston. So I'd probably put them second in the division right now. And the fear of Jacksonville will always live in me because they always beat us in some stupid way every year. But not, you know, comparing them against how they play to us, like they're okay. Like they could sneak in as a 7 seed, maybe. I mean, they looked really great, and people were like, "Oh, Jacksonville! It's Jacksonville and Indy. They have a two-horse race for the AFC South." And then these two games have happened, both against probable playoff teams in the NFC, and arguably one of the best teams in football in the Rams, and they just looked really bad. And honestly, Trevor didn't even play the worst. I mean, their defense just folded like a sheet. It was bad. But I'd put them second in the South, but not confidently. They're better than Tennessee. That's what I'll say.
Well, teams always go back to what they were. Jacksonville was always an average team, and New England's finally back to being an elite, potentially elite team. Yes, as a Steelers fan and as a Colts fan, this was not the day we were waiting for. This was not the week thing we wanted to happen. But it's time to just admit the inevitable and just say with Mike Vrabel, Drake May getting better, Montre Stevenson seemingly giving the at least at the moment giving the fumble problems since run ball pretty fairly strong. The defense is coming back to be elite.
I will
The
say,
Patriots are back.
I really do like Vrabel. I'm not a Titans fan. Okay. If the Titans never won again, I would not shed a tear. When they fired Mike Vrabel, I said that was stupid. Like he was a Mike Vrabel's a great coach. And honestly, as much as I dislike the Patriots, I actually really liked watching him play. I liked him as a player.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was pretty good. And then he got hired. You know, the second they fired Gerard Mayo, I said,
again Vrabel. Yeah,
Mike Vrabel is going to New England. And
everyone knew
that's
everyone knew
exactly
Vrabel
what
was going
happened.
there. Everyone knew they're going to
Exactly
reunite
what
Vrabel
happened.
like New England.
And I was just like, this is not good because it's going to take a bit, you know, to build that franchise back up to even a semblance of what it used to be. I don't think it'll ever get back to that level necessarily, but Vrabel is a great coach. And I think people wrote Drake May soon. Drake May looks like the real deal.
Drake May just if you roll out Drake May, then you have no patience. That team last year didn't have any real receiving
They had
talent,
no one.
and he
Yeah.
still looked halfway decent.
Serviceable.
Like they added a couple pieces here and there. You got a better coach than and I like Gerard Mayo, but Vrabel's clearly a bad coach. You get now in that division with you have two teams. We're going
You're
back.
going against Buffalo, basically.
We're
The other
going
teams are irrelevant.
like we're going back to the memes. We're going back to the early 2000s. We have the Patriots are good, and the AFC East is just terrible. The rest of
Except
the
for the Bills.
except for the Bills, but the Jets are back to being trash, and the Dolphins are
It's
back to
more
being
like the
trash.
Jets never not were trash. They just were less trashy trash at one point.
We were more respectable trash, more dignified
Yes.
trash. But yeah, so yeah, we're back to the memes. It's the early 2000s again. The Patriots are elite. The Mike Vrabel led Patriots because he was a captain. I believe him and Bruschi were the captains on that defense.
Yes, I
So
think
like
so.
the Vrabel led Patriots are back to being an elite
Man,
conversation.
I really like Vrabel. I mean, if there was any guy they could get in that franchise to get them back to being respectable or playing at a higher level than they have been, it was him. Like he's gonna be really good there for a really long time, and I'm really not looking forward to it. In case you were wondering,
Well, I know one
at
thing.
least Drake May's not Tom Brady. Could be worse.
I give it 2 years.
No.
So speaking of AFC East teams one's going to the right direction, the other one's going. I'm not gonna say going down. They're just not moving.
They've just
The
not
Jets,
ever moved.
the Jets are still not undefeated. The opposite undefeated,
They're
unwinning,
they're backwards undefeated.
reverse undefeated.
Yeah, that makes it sound better.
So the only and prior to this season, in my fantasy group chat, we're like, what's some crazy predictions? And someone predicted, I don't think the Jets, either New York teams, are going to be the worst team in their division. And I was like, you're half right. Because
I honestly didn't think the Jets were going to be awful either, so I can wear that.
I thought they'll be about 5-12, 6-11.
Yeah, like, mediocre, but not the worst in the league. They
And
have talent on that team. The fact that they are
do
this
they?
bad is
Do they? Because
embarrassing.
it looks like they don't have any talent at this point.
They have Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson. I know Wilson is hurt. They have Mason Taylor. I like Mason Taylor. They revamped their O line. They have Sauce on defense. They
And
have talent on that team. The rest of the players are just so bad. It makes the other ones not exist.
and as bad as those players are, they still almost beat the Panthers. I don't think this technically okay. The Panthers won the game. Yay, the Panthers are 4-3. Yay, the Panthers look
Winning
respectable.
record. Woo!
The Panthers, it's the same thing I said with the Broncos game last week. Your team really should have won that game against any kind of competent team. You really should have lost that game. You just got lucky, facing Justin Fields, and then you started to face Tyler Taylor, which I was surprised Taylor didn't do a little better, but it's a Jet, so what do you expect? But now Bryce is out for at least 1 week with his
Yeah, high
injury.
ankle sprain.
Panthers do have a. I'm interested in seeing the rushing attack from now on with Rico and Chuba as a dual threat, but
As Panthers fans would say, not our Brycey poo.
I have never heard Panthers ever say that. What Panthers fan grandma like freaking auntie grandma Nana that are you hanging out with?
Oh man,
I was thinking, yeah, run little man.
poor fella.
But no, I just because we're both in Carolina, we would both want to see the Panthers be at least respectable. I'm not that high in the Panthers just because if any team doesn't beat the Jets by at least 10 points, or at least 10 to 14 points, I'm thinking, did you guys just like not show up or just we're just like we're just gonna play this game halfway?
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't a great showing for Carolina. But, the common argument is good teams beat bad teams, even if they don't play at their best, right? And I'm not calling Carolina a good team necessarily, but they didn't play their best and they still won. So I think that's a testament in itself. I mean, I'm not going to deny that they just really didn't look good, generally speaking, because they didn't. Um, they almost blew it to Justin Fields, who had negative yards last week. Um, so yeah, no, they didn't look good, but good teams beat bad teams, even
Yeah,
if they don't play at their best. And that's what happened.
yeah.
That's what
Well,
happened with the Bears this week. They beat the Saints. The Saints are bad. Bears didn't play their best, but good teams beat bad teams, even if they're not playing at their, 100% best. That's what happened with Carolina this week. So, a
a
win
win.
is a win.
Yeah, a win's a
It's
win.
a crappy win. It kind of looks like you don't deserve it. You probably don't, but a win's a win. I mean, hey, they'll take what they can get. They hardly get any wins. So, any win is great if you're a Carolina fan.
Well, one team's in desperate need for a win is the Chargers, and he certainly didn't get it this past week with Chelsea's coach. At least one of us, well, at least one or two of us was having had a fun week 7. So yeah, your Colts, they look awesome. They look amazing, and I guess we had time to believe in them.
Yeah, no, the Colts look great on offense. I have some concerns on defense. We lost Chartavius Ward to the IR for 4 weeks because Drew Ogletree ran into him during pregame warmups. Only these things happen to us. I'm telling you that this is the most Indianapolis Colts thing I've ever seen. Best corner gets on put on IR for a second concussion in as many weeks because his own player runs into him. Stupid. So I really don't think our cornerback room is bad when they're all healthy. The problem is they're not all healthy. And I really think we need more edge. And I really think we need another linebacker because as much as Zaire Franklin is the heart and soul of the Colts defense, he is very bad at pass coverage. Like worst in the NFL bad. Like
But
it's bad. He's great at tackling, but at covering, he's terrible. So there are some worries on defense. It seems like Latu is emerging, which is really nice. Some of our corners that we've signed, off the scrap heap have actually not looked that bad, which is nice. So yeah, no, offense looked great. Defense have some concerns, especially when we play, the Chiefs of the world. But, I'll take the win. Like I said earlier, with IU being number 2 in the country, I feel like I'm living in a fever dream. Both of my teams are good. I can hardly believe it.
the real
Daniel
question,
Jones is the. I am a Colts fan. I keep waiting for the shoe to drop on Daniel Jones. Like for him to come out and be like 7 of 25 with two interceptions. Like, I'm waiting for this, and it is not happening.
Well, the
Like,
one
I really think he's for real.
well, one question I have to say, and it's something that I think I text you like at some point during the game. CMC go to Jonathan Taylor at this point, and my argument with CMC is simply this: Jonathan Taylor has more touchdowns, but CMC has more all-purpose yards. Jonathan Taylor, he, and I feel like Jonathan Taylor. I think as a pure running back, I would put Jonathan Taylor, but as someone who is the most important person on his roster,
Oh no,
CMC.
I won't disagree
Oh,
with that.
CMC is the reason San Francisco has any chance at the playoffs.
No, I agree.
So
This
I
year, I agree.
so I would go. I would personally pick. Looking back at stats, it's crazy. CMC has more receiving yards than he does rushing yards because he has
I
to.
mean, Jonathan Taylor is leading the league in rushing yards and in rushing touchdowns. I think Jonathan Taylor is the better rusher. He's never been a great pass catcher. That's just not his strength. Christian McCaffrey has always been one, so he's got him there. Both decent blockers. Jonathan Taylor's picked up the slack a lot on that this year. Um, but I think that you could make a. I think you have to say McCaffrey just because of how hurt the team is. But I think there's an argument for Jonathan Taylor. You take Jonathan Taylor off this offense, I don't think Daniel Jones looks like this. Now, I will say our whole offense is not hurt. So I'm still going to side with CMC just for that reason. But if it were CMC on his healthy offense and Taylor on his healthy offense, I'm picking Taylor.
Interesting.
But that's just not the reality this
Or
year. So
or
you have to take McCaffrey.
well, I'm picking third party. I'm picking Javante Williams. No.
Oh yeah, my husband would love to talk to you about that. He has Taylor and Javante.
Oh, he's winning that league.
Yeah, one would think.
But yeah, the Cowboys. We're not about talking about the Cowboys offense. We're talking about the Cowboys defense and the fact that they actually looked pretty good for the first time in a while against the division rivals in Washington. Even when Daniels was still on the field, Washington was still was still struggling moving the ball against them. So it's
A
1 week,
small step of success.
a small.
I would not say it is a huge leap forward. I would say it is a small step, and if they can continue adding those up over and over and over, they have a chance.
I will say this though. If Dallas can just be average defensively, which how
That's true.
as elite as that offense is right now, as elite as their weapons are right now, an average Dallas defense will get them into a wild card spot, maybe even a division win if the Eagles don't right the ship soon enough.
Sure would
So
be nice if they had an elite pass rusher.
yeah, if they can only get one that one one
Hmm.
day. Uh,
Maybe they'll trade for Trey Hendrickson.
I think
Elite, right?
I honestly think they'll probably go after Henderson like at some point, but maybe
Yeah,
they.
sure would be nice. One wouldn't know anything about that, would we?
Well, I'll say this. My predictions this year have not always been correct. It's not always been accurate. And one that was really hurting me up until probably 3 weeks ago was I had Mahomes being the MVP. I had angry Patrick Mahomes come in and torching the NFL, and that really was hurting me. Folks is back on the table. We're getting angry. We're getting Patrick Mahomes with weapons again. And when he has weapons, he looks like the Patrick Mahomes of old. And I didn't take stock out of this portfolio yet. I still have some numbers in there. So come on, Patrick, you gotta take down Baker and Dak and Daniel Jones.
As I told my husband, I said everyone wanted to write off the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes wasn't elevating the play of wide receiver eights on his team. The Chiefs were never dead. They were in hibernation, and now they're back. Live in fear.
Oh boy, I want them to be dead though, but yeah, when you
We
have
all do, but whatever.
but know who might be dead? The Giants fans. Giants fans might be dead because
Dude,
what the
that
heck?
was the toughest loss I think I've ever seen.
That was
That was atrocious.
I. How do you allow 33 points in the quarter? Doesn't even sound real.
It's
Like
like Stephen A. Smith.
I refresh the plays.
Atrocious.
I refresh the page.
Despicable.
I legit.
Horrendous.
I'm gonna try to say it now. I legit refreshed the page because I said, okay, there's no way to score 33 points in a quarter. Maybe it's something like, no, 33 points in a quarter. Like, oh,
I know, it doesn't even look real.
huh. I wonder how Matthew's doing. How's he doing? Oh, okay. He wants to kill something.
Be like, I'll just be in the other room. Let me know if you want a snack or like some
Just knock on his
water,
door with
a
like
blanket.
a bottle of wine and fresh cookies and just run away.
Be like, here you go, some roses.
So
Sorry
yeah.
for your loss.
So yeah, the Giants blew a game and now Denver is the top team in the AFC West. I don't trust the Denver Broncos being a top team in the AFC West. And that, but you know what? When the Giants lose by, when they're up by 3 scores with like 7 minutes left, I don't
You
know.
know what? As bad as the Giants were, though, there is still reason to have hope. Dart is the real deal. He had
Yeah,
that horrible interception in the fourth quarter, but he's a rookie. That's going to happen. Scatabo looks great. I mean, they're putting up this amount of points without Malik Neighbors. I don't think anyone saw that coming, even with
no.
Dart in the fold. So there is a lot to be positive about on offense. On defense, there's a lot to be angry about. I get it. And if you're the Broncos, looks like Bo Nix might be back. Hopefully he can sustain it. But if you're the Giants, you have to at least be mostly happy with the offensive performance. I mean, but Jackson Dart drove him down the field, got that touchdown, left too much time. That's just today's NFL. What are you gonna do? But like the offense looked great. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson is their wide receiver one. Imagine how many points they would have scored if they had Malik Neighbors. I mean, I do think there are positives to take away, but not enough positives to erase the pain,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
you need a truckload of positives, but that's week 7 for you. Chelsea's happy, and everyone else who's been hosting on this podcast is in pain.
You know
But
what? I will say this. We play the Titans this week. If there is a game that the Indianapolis Colts would Indianapolis Colt in and lose,
it'll be a
it would
Titans.
be this game at home against Cam Ward, who looks like a bust. Okay? So let's just hope Daniel Jones is really not a fraud and that he's for real and that that doesn't happen because if it does, I'm going to sound like Daniel next week.
Well, until next week, Chelsea hit us with where they can find us, and hopefully both of us will be relatively happy.
Hopefully. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Check us out next week when we drop our next 2 episodes. Follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football. We are eking closer to 50 subscribers on YouTube, so definitely hit us up on there. We're also on Twitter at Launch Codes FB. We're on Discord as well. If you're interested in joining, just let me know. I'm Chelsea,
I'm Daniel.
and thanks for listening. See you
I'm
next week.
I'm getting a luggage, a cough drop. Peace.